It is 1:30 Universal Time. I'm Jim Tedder in Washington. Iraqi officials say the country's new prime minister will present the names of his cabinet choices to Parliament on Saturday. Parliament must approve the cabinet appointments before Nouri al-Maliki and his government can be sworn in. His 30-day time limit for forming a new government ends on Monday. Also Wednesday, Iraqi police say bomb explosions in Baghdad killed 4 civilians. In other news, Iraqi security forces are searching for a diplomat from the United Arab Emirates. The diplomat was kidnapped Tuesday in western Baghdad. A 6-nation meeting on the nuclear dispute between Iran and Western countries has been postponed. Representatives of the 6 nations were to meet on Friday. In the United States, a State Department official says the meeting will probably take place on Tuesday. Earlier, Iran's president criticized a possible European offer of a light-water nuclear reactor if his country ends the enrichment work. European diplomats have said the reactor would be an important part of the possible offer. The United States Senate has voted to prevent illegal immigrants from remaining in the country if they are guilty of a major crime. Senators also voted to build a 600-kilometer fence along the border with Mexico. The vote came Wednesday as the lawmakers considered several amendments on an immigration reform bill. The bill includes increased border security, a guest worker program, and an opportunity for millions of illegal immigrants to apply for American citizenship. Also Wednesday, thousands of immigrants and their supporters gathered in Washington, D.C. The immigrant activists want new laws that recognize the importance of immigrants to the United States. In France, the lower house of Parliament has passed an immigration bill that the opposition says is racist. The government says the bill will attract highly educated workers. The Senate is expected to begin discussing the bill early in June. Officials in Ecuador say people do not need to leave their homes in the area near the Tungurahua volcano. Hot gas and ash exploded into the sky from the mountaintop on Wednesday. Many villagers have begun leaving their homes because of the loud explosions from the mountain. President Alfredo Palacio declared a state of emergency for several communities surrounding the 5,000-meter-high mountain. The same volcano forced 17,000 people to leave their homes in the town of Bano in 1999. It is one of the most active volcanoes in Ecuador. Officials in Sao Paulo, Brazil, say police have killed at least 18 more suspects. Police are hoping to end violence that began Friday when an armed group fired on police stations and launched rebellions at several prisons. Police returned order in at least 70 prisons after they negotiated the release of about 200 hostages Monday. Police say the armed group ordered the attacks to protest the transport of several imprisoned leaders to high-security prisons. More than 130 people, including at least 40 police officers, have been killed in the violence. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper says he will extend the Canadian military operation in Afghanistan even if a parliamentary vote fails. Mr. Harper said he would extend the Canadian military operation by 1 year. He told Parliament Wednesday that Canada cannot just walk away from Afghanistan. Parliament is expected to vote at this hour on a 2-year extension of military operations. The debate comes as officials announced that a female Canadian officer was killed in Afghanistan Wednesday. Canada's troops operate in the southern city of Kandahar. Plans had called for them to leave in February 2007. The temporary government of Somalia has accused the United States of supporting a coalition of private armies. The private armies are fighting Islamic forces for control of Somalia's capital, Mogadishu. The Washington Post newspaper reports that a Somali government spokesman said the United States provided aid to the private armies in recent fighting. Somalia's foreign minister says aid from other countries to groups not included in the government will make the situation in his country even worse. Bush administration officials have refused to comment on the accusations, but officials have said they support the coalition's goal of ending terrorism. The Islamic group Hamas has deployed its own police force in the Gaza Strip. 3,000 Hamas policemen were deployed Wednesday. Palestinian Interior Minister Saeed Sayam said the new force will bring order to Gaza. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas had vetoed plans for a separate force. In another development, Mr. Abbas ordered Palestinian police, also under his control, to deploy. Last month, the president appointed an ally as commander of the Palestinian security forces. Share prices in European and American stock markets dropped Wednesday after the release of a United States government report. The government reported that a leading measure of consumer prices rose sharply last month. Experts say rising prices might force America's central bank to continue raising interest rates. Higher interest rates slow the economy by raising the cost of loans to expand factories, buy equipment, or buy homes. That helps prevent inflation over time, but harms profits in the short term. Briefly, here again is the major news of the hour. Iraqi officials say the country's new prime minister will present the names of his cabinet choices to Parliament on Saturday. A meeting on the nuclear dispute between Western countries and Iran has been postponed. And in Ecuador, officials say people do not need to leave their homes in the area near an exploding volcano. And that's the news in VOA Special English. From Washington, this is Jim Tedder reporting.